Quiet wealth is one of those things you don't understand until you see it in real life. Because the richest person in the room usually looks like they're not even trying. No screaming logos, no over-explaining, no look at me energy. They don't walk in like they own the room. They walk in like the room already knows who they are. And that's the part people miss. Quiet wealth isn't a style. Quiet wealth is psychology. It's not having money. It's knowing what money does to people and choosing not to become one of them. Most people want the lifestyle. Old money wants the stability underneath it because money is easy to touch. The hard part is not letting money touch your personality. Some people earn a little more and instantly start acting like they're too busy, too important, too rare, too protected. And the funny part is, they're not rich. They're just loud. Quiet wealth doesn't do loud. Quiet wealth does stable. So in this video, I'm going to break down 4 rules that explain the psychology behind quiet wealth. These aren't motivational quotes. These are patterns. The same patterns that keep certain families wealthy for generations, while everyone else stays stuck chasing proof. Let's get into it. Rule 1. Quiet wealth doesn't need witnesses. That means it doesn't need a crowd, a comment section, or a group chat to confirm it's doing well. Most people don't spend money because they need something. They spend money because they need somebody to notice. They buy the expensive coat, not because it's warm, but because the label can be seen from across the street. They book the holiday, not because they need rest, but because they want the photo that says, "I'm outside." They buy the watch, not to tell time, but to tell strangers, "I made it." It's not really consumption. It's a performance. And performances are expensive because the moment your money becomes something you use to gain approval, your spending becomes emotional. You stop buying based on what improves your life. You start buying based on what improves your image. And image spending doesn't end. It has no finish line. There's always a new standard to meet, a new person to compete with, a new trend to chase, a new look to maintain. Quiet wealth steps out of that game completely because old money circles have an unspoken truth. The loudest person in the room is usually the newest person in the room, the one who arrived yesterday and now needs everyone to feel it. Quiet wealth doesn't chase that feeling. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need someone to say, "You're doing good." It's secure enough to be silent. And that is the key psychological difference. Loud wealth needs validation. Quiet wealth needs control. Quiet wealth spends to protect peace. It buys time. It buys convenience. It buys privacy. It buys options. It doesn't buy attention because attention doesn't compound. Attention doesn't protect you. Attention doesn't make your life calm. And the old money mindset is very simple. If it needs to be seen, it's insecure. If it's secure, it can stay hidden. That's why the quietest people often have the most power. They're not trying to win an argument with the world. They're trying to win ownership of their life. Here's a simple example. A loud, wealthy person buys a luxury car to be noticed. A quiet, wealthy person buys a reliable car, keeps it clean, maintains it perfectly, and uses the leftover money to invest in something that earns while they sleep. Same money, different psychology. And this is why quiet wealth keeps growing. It doesn't leak money trying to prove it exists. Rule 2. Quiet wealth stays calm under pressure. This is where most people get exposed. Because anybody can look disciplined when life is easy. But pressure reveals the truth. When money gets tight, when plans break, when people switch up, when the market changes, when stress shows up without warning, most people react emotionally. They panic. They rush. They start making fast decisions with shaky hands and call it taking action. But panic isn't action. Panic is just expensive movement. Quiet wealth understands something most people never learn. Calm is a financial skill. If you can't control your emotions, you can't control your money. Because money will always behave like the person holding it. That's why quiet wealth doesn't make major decisions while emotional. It doesn't shop when stressed. It doesn't invest when desperate. It doesn't flex when insecure. It doesn't suddenly upgrade the lifestyle because someone else looks ahead. Quiet wealth pauses first. It thinks first. It waits. Old money psychology is built on this idea. If you react to everything, you lose power. If you stay calm, you stay in control. And control is the real definition of wealth. Most people confuse control with confidence. They think confidence is loud. Quiet wealth knows real confidence is calm. Calmness says, "I don't need to prove anything quickly." Calmness says, "I'm not rushed." Calmness says, I can wait. And patience is a form of power, because rushing is usually a sign of fear. Fear of missing out, fear of being left behind, fear of not being respected, fear of not being seen. Quiet wealth doesn't move from fear. It moves from planning. Here's a slightly funny truth. Some people don't even want financial stability. They want financial adrenaline. They want to spend big, feel powerful for 5 minutes, then figure it out later. Quiet wealth doesn't do later. Quiet wealth does structure. It does planning. It does patience. Because patience is what allows wealth to become permanent. And this is why quiet wealth looks unbothered. Not because life never touches them, but because they have trained themselves not to self-destruct when it does. Rule 3. Quiet wealth buys freedom, not flex. New money buys items. Quiet wealth buys space. Space in the calendar. Space in the mind. Space to say no without guilt. Space to walk away without fear. Most people buy things that look expensive, but their life still feels cheap. Cheap as in always rushing, always reacting, always checking the bank app like it's a heart monitor, always needing to keep up. That's not wealth. That's stress with a receipt. Quiet wealth avoids lifestyles that create hidden obligations, because hidden obligations are the real trap. The car payment is obvious, but the lifestyle payment is what drains people quietly. The constant nights out, the constant celebrations, the constant just this once spending, the constant need to show up and be seen. Quiet wealth doesn't want that kind of life, because it understands the difference between luxury and freedom. Luxury is a thing. Freedom is a condition. Freedom is waking up and knowing, I don't need to impress anyone today. Freedom is being able to turn something down without explaining yourself. Freedom is being able to take your time. Freedom is being able to wait for the right opportunity without feeling like you're falling behind. Old money psychology understands this. The real luxury is autonomy, not the item. Autonomy. And autonomy is purchased with discipline. That's why quiet wealth looks simple, not because it can't spend, but because it's too smart to spend on the wrong things. It doesn't buy to feel important. It buys to stay free. A loud person spends money and feels powerful for a moment. A quiet, wealthy person spends money and removes stress permanently. That is the psychology of quiet wealth. It's not flashy. It's strategic. And it wins long term. Rule 4. Quiet wealth protects the name more than the money. This is the rule that separates old money from everybody else. Most people protect cash. Old money protects reputation, because reputation creates access. Access creates opportunity. Opportunity creates wealth. Quiet wealth understands trust is everything. Money can return, but if your reputation is damaged, you become expensive to trust. And if you become expensive to trust, the best rooms won't open for you. That's why quiet wealth behaves differently. It doesn't overshare. It doesn't argue loudly. It doesn't chase attention online. It doesn't throw its private life into the public for entertainment, because public chaos is cheap, and quiet wealth doesn't do cheap behavior. Old money families didn't stay wealthy by being impressive online. They stayed wealthy by being disciplined behind closed doors. They move with standards. Standards for how they speak. Standards for how they react. Standards for how they handle pressure. Standards for how they treat people when nobody is watching. Quiet wealth understands something most people ignore. Being respected quietly is more valuable than being known loudly. Quiet wealth protects the name like an asset, because it is an asset. And the longer your name stays clean, the longer your access stays open. Psychology breakdown, connecting all 4 rules. Quiet wealth is built on internal validation. It is the ability to say, I know who I am, without needing the world to confirm it. Because once you stop needing validation, you stop making expensive decisions for cheap reasons. You stop spending to impress. You stop reacting emotionally. You stop rushing to prove something. You stop performing for people who do not matter. Quiet wealth is emotional discipline turned into a lifestyle. It's discipline disguised as calm. It's maturity disguised as silence. It's the ability to stay stable when everybody else is being pulled around by moods and opinions. That's old money psychology, not loud confidence. Quiet certainty. Quiet wealth does not chase money. It becomes the kind of person money respects, because money can only stay where discipline lives. If you want to develop this mindset properly, start reading the books that shape how you think. I will put the books and links in the description. Check them out if you are trying to build quiet wealth. These books may challenge you in character and mindset, so read them slowly. Quiet wealth isn't built in a weekend. It's built in patterns. Next episode, we're going into financial behavior, how quiet wealth spends, saves, invests, and avoids the traps that keep people looking rich while staying broke. If you want that level of thinking, subscribe. This channel isn't about luxury. It's about becoming the person who can hold it. See you in the next episode.